is going to come to you and say, hey, look, I've given you your GTV volume. For conventional, they are required to set up their own beams, except in a few cases, and this is one of them. They give you a volume, they give you constraints as if it were an IMRT. What you have to do is come up with static beams that allow you to achieve those goals as best you can. Sometimes you can't always do it with conventional plans, and still conform to the target that they want. Back in the day, this used to be called poor man's IMRT. If insurance wasn't approved for step and shoot, which is the state of the art back then we would do this methodology here. And we can usually be pretty good with it. All right, so, okay, so you're given a GTV. It tells you that you need to expand that GTV by 1 centimeter, I think I put on there. Source, GTV, backspace, caps on, GTV. We're going to do a 1 and expand. Okay. So now we've got our PTV. In my world, my PTV is always orange, but I really don't care what you do, as long as it's clear what you need. All right. So you've got a PTV. Now the next instruction is that you are to come up with some beams to provide those coverage that tumor, and also try to meet the constraints of the table I have there on the bottom. Now, as you go through this, you may find that some of these constraints are not doable based on the location of your tumor volume, okay? The instruction then moving forward is cover your PTV and protect that structure as best you can, okay? I want to see at least 95% coverage of your target. And if you have to give up, say, the right orbit or right optic nerve or something to do that, or left, that's fine. I want to see that you understand how to put the beams on, set the gantry angles, use your beam modifiers. That's the exercise. Not so much can you shape out the beams to protect those structures. Be nice if you can, but if your optic nerve runs straight to your PTV, then most likely it's not going to happen. We're not doing IMRT. We don't have the ability to carve like we do with IMRT, so make sure your target is covered. Then when you do your write-up, you guys are still doing like one-page synopsis. Yeah. Just put on there, based upon observations, unable to meet ROI criteria for right optic nerve due to the fact that Nick put it in the tumor volume. So it's always happen. Yeah, we do that. So we've got an isocenter. Oh, look, see, somebody did leave some stuff here. So you should find lyso from your brain. There's your max corpus. Okay. So for the whole brain, of course, it made sense that it was there. But for this one, we're going to auto place it in the center of our PTV. And we're going to see what that is. So after you center your PTV, like I said, or your isocenter, depends on what your PTV looks like. There's a little tip that you can do to help with your beam setup as far as the angles that you can get. The closer to midline you are, the more looks at your tumor, let's say, you can get. You can use different angles, more angles. So whereas if you keep it all the way over here and you end up calculating that, it's kind of limits what you're doing. So you keep it central in your volume. I actually try to move it as close to midline as possible, but still keep it in the tumor volume, and I'll probably just drop this one down here. You have to remember your machine has the ability to do a 40 by 40 treatment field. So something the size of this is not going to cause any issues as far as where your isocenter is, but just make sure that it's within your tumor volume. Okay, save. Next, so you're going to do coplanar and non-coplanar. Does anybody know the difference between the two? Okay. Coplanar means keep your couch at 180. Don't deviate couch rotation. Non-coplanar means anything that's out of the norm of the 0 or the 180, start rotating your couch. So on your coplanar plan, you can have, I'm expecting a minimum minimum of 4 beams, okay? You cannot do this in 3 beams. Minimum of 4, I think 5 was optimal, 6 was a little bit better, but a minimum of 4 beams, please. All the couches will be at 1 or 0. In this case, I keep saying 180 because I trained on variant, but it's going to be 0. Non-coplanar, I don't care if you just copy that trial after you've done your regular plan, and then alter the couch angles between your beams. Whether you kick it 15 degrees off one way, 15 off the other way, maybe change the gantry a little bit, and recompute for comparison, that's completely fine. Because a non-coplanar plan basically is just couch rotation. Some people say collimator, but really collimator is not a non-coplanar because you're still in the plane of 180 to 0, whatever you look at. Okay? So minimum of 4 beams. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and add a beam real quick. We're going to make sure it's linked to the proper ISO. There it is, final ISO. And we'll go to the big window here. Okay, so this is an AP beam, which in this case you probably don't want to do. Anybody know why? Tell me why. Do what? The eyes, that's correct. You don't want to pass a primary beam through your ROI to get to a tumor if you can help it. Especially the eyes because you're given such tight constraints on it. But this is just a demo here. So you've been given your PTV, you've been asked to place some beams, and I think there's one more criteria that I asked for when you do these is that there's a margin around the PTV. So you have your GTV, which is the actual tumor. The physician has expanded that, which is what we've done for them, to the PTV. So the PTV is your actual target to deliver dose to account for motion management, patient moves during treatment. We go a step further where we actually put a margin around the PTV for setup inaccuracies, whatever the case may be. I think I specified a 1 to 1.5 centimeter margin. The closer you stay to 1, I think the tighter and better your plan is going to look. The more beams you use, the tighter you can keep your margin, okay? And what I'm talking about there is if we go here to modifiers, and add a block, pick your target of your PTV, you're going to specify a 1 centimeter margin, and it's done it for you, okay? And you can do that on all your beams. Now, that being said, if this were a 2 or 3 field, perfectly fine. You need a gap between your target and your beam edge to kind of help generate the dose, backscatter, all the other stuff that helps contribute to your plan. The more beams you use, the less you really need of that because you're giving the dose from multiple directions to try to get your coverages. So what I do normally with the 1 centimeter margin is I'll start with that. Now, if you find that you can actually, it doesn't say it on here, you can get a little bit tricky. Let's say, like the chiasm, right, sitting right up here. And you've got 4 other beams on here where the chiasm is projected away from the field, but on this field you end up having to use it. You can, what am I looking for? Where's the circle? There it is. Where is it?
Turn your MLCs.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to. I mean, I do it, but you really shouldn't have to. I should be able to just show. Oh, I know what it is. Hold on. You got to take it off and put it on manual. That's it. Right. So, what am I looking for? Paintbrush. So, say the chiasm was up here and we've got 1 centimeter margin. You just come in and reduce that and recompute your beams. As long as you're getting coverage, you can shrink that in manually after the fact. So when you present the plan at the end of the practicum, I really don't mind if you have less than a centimeter margin in some spots on your target, as long as all beams that contribute to that dose are helping get the coverage you need. Half centimeter may not be enough, but 7, 8, 9 millimeters is something that's workable. So each beam will start as 1, but you can come in and you can tweak them down a little bit if you need to. Whatever you need to do to get the dose. we would not want an AP beam, right? We want to do maybe, for sure, a lateral, right? On this side. Now, for 3D conformal, it is okay to use parallel opposed beams, meaning if I have this beam here, I can copy and oppose it and be coming directly from the side. On this one, I might want to use 6x or 10x. On the one, if I flip this over because of the distance we're traveling, I might want to use 18x. If I rotate the beam down, you kind of think about the distance you're going to get there. If I have one coming here, I might use 6. This one I might use 18 and 10. You've got to think about the energy that you want to use. It doesn't make sense to use all 6s because you're going to be traveling across a lot of brain. You don't need that to treat that portion of your brain. Okay, it tells you what you need to contour. If you don't know where the optic chiasm is, just kind of take a guess. I mean, it's going to be in the general area, right? It's where the optic nerves come in and what two slices there. I personally don't draw optic chiasms. I am not going to be responsible for going blind, but it's in that general area, right? Nerve canal, like that. Nobody's going to grade you on what you draw your chiasms. Okay, so that's that. Okay, we'll do the write-up. You can ignore the hand counts. So in this particular case, we can see right off the bat that optic nerve is going to be close, right? What did I do for optic nerve? Oh, 54. So you might be able to do that. Because remember, we only want 95% to some portion. So this is one of those areas where you might trim in your blocks a little bit to help protect that optic nerve in there as it comes in. The beam that you set up must be clinically delivered. Okay, by what I mean by that is when you get into your non-coplanar planes, you have a tendency to get real fancy, where I've seen people kick the couch out 90 degrees and then drop the gantry all the way under the table from the foot end, right? So it's going through the pedestal, through the feet to get to the hand. Not going to work, right? So that wouldn't be an acceptable plan. Any plan that you submit has to be clinically deliverable. So if you stay within your 15-week computation, it'll be clinically deliverable. Okay, that's that. Everybody's familiar with Pinnacle, right? You've done several practicums already, but how to navigate Pinnacle. Okay. Okay, so in this particular case, what I would probably do, it's okay to exit through the eye. It's not ideal, but it's okay. Because if you can't enter, you need to be able to do some exit. You can do something like this, that you can run it in, there's your field edge there. You can do something like that. You can copy and oppose this beam and have it coming this way, maybe rotate it 5 degrees off. You can have another beam coming in, but this, just think about how your angles are. Parallel opposed is not a problem because you can use different energies. Most likely you will have to use wedges. You guys use wedges in any planes yet? Motorized wedge? Okay. Keeping in mind that no matter what you set up, the motorized wedge only operates in the Y1 jaw, right? The orientation. So if you want a wedge, say on this green beam here, you have to rotate, copy your beam and rotate it such that the Y1 jaw would sit over here, because that wedge only works in the Y1 orientation. So it may be upside down, you have to flip it around, gotta be careful with that. 2 years ago would have been an issue. We had enhanced dynamic wedges that worked multiple directions. Not the case anymore. You'll figure it out. You'll see the wedge orientation, and just knowing that the wedge originates at the Y1 and the toe goes towards Y2, you can just flip it around. And to do that, you just turn on motorized wedge and convert it to a step and shoot. Put your wedge in, and play with your wedge angle until you're done smoothing it around. Keep in mind your orientation of your wedges. And you guys just had the class about heel, wedge angle, hinge angle. If you have two beams, 90 degrees apart, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do, Chase, you want to have like this. Now, if you have parallel opposed beams, you don't want to have one like this and one like this because it's counter-effecting, right? But if you're off of axis, like if you have a 90 and you kick this one up a few degrees, there's no reason you cannot bring that one down because this one's pushing up. Once you rotate that, it's seeing different anatomy, and you may need to tap it down or reduce the amount of angle on this wedge. So as long as they're not parallel opposed fields or 90 degrees opposed, you can have your wedges in any orientation you like. You just don't want them kind of all towing each other if they're opposed fields. A lot of times they'll all be in the same direction, working their way around. It's the way it usually winds up. Oh, what else? All right, that's all I got. You guys have any questions? Sorry.
Do we not need to contour the spinal cord and cochlea?
Negative. Oh, no, cochlea is on there. Cord is on there.
Well, they're at the bottom, but they're not under contour the following structures. I guess.
Well. All right, so. It's always fun. Thank you for catching that. Contour the following structures in the brain.